Welcome to Talking in Stations. I am Matt Rall, news chief for TMC, the Imperium News. How are you doing this morning? It's pretty early for me, but it's great for European time. This is our new show time at 1 UTC, that is 1 p.m. UTC, and then everybody else can coordinate off that hour. But it's 6 in the morning in Los Angeles and 9 a.m. in New York. How are you guys doing today? Let's
tired, man. It's early.
Everybody's tired.
Long night, early morning.
All right, we got a full show today, so let's start with some introductions. Tiberius, why don't we start with you?
Hey there, Tiberius Stargazer. I am the editor-in-chief for Eve NT. I am also a writer and editor for EN24, and I fly in Destructive Influence with Northern Coalition.
Awesome. Caleb?
I am a writer at TMZ and on Eve Guardian, and I'm the proprietor of the SCC Lounge and its founder.
All right, cool. And Dirk?
Hey, what's up? Dirk McGurk from the Open Comm Show and various outlets around the way, member of Sniggerly and Pandemic Legion.
I am so sad that we're not going to have you after a while, right?
Nope. That's actually been put on hold. I've been able to juggle some stuff in my real world as well as shows. Yeah. So Open Comms is going to be moving from Thursday nights to Friday, so that takes out one big problem that I was running into, and everything else will just take care of itself.
So you're on.
No matter how hard he tries, he can't quit.
And then we get stuff like recently, it's like, man, I can't catch a break, but whatever. No,
That's probably the best news I've heard all day.
Dirk retirement revoked.
Great. Okay.
Sadly, I felt I felt really bad because it was like I put off saying something about the fact of it was something that was going to have to happen. And then literally like 48 hours after I mentioned it, some things fell into place that. Well, I mean, one of the things that fell into place quite weirdly is the fact that Talking in Stations moved from Friday nights to Saturday mornings, so that opened up the slot that would make it easy for that.
It fixed
whatever.
So many.
This is not about me. We've only got an hour, and we got some material.
That's important. It's really important news. So glad you're going to be around.
Yeah, super important.
Not just on this show, but on other shows too. I was really bummed out when you said you were going to take a break, but I understand taking breaks. And we also have Rivra with us, but she's off screen today. How you doing, Rivra?
Yeah, I'm good. Hi, I'm Rivra. I do editing at TMC, and I'm a GDES station trader.
Awesome. You're also chief investigator now at TMC. I'm relinquishing my position. Okay, so we got a great show today. Let's start with some news, please.
What news do you want to talk about?
There's lots of news.
Yeah, I think we can. Well, E-Vegas is coming up next week, right? This is our last show before E-Vegas. Dirk, you're going, yes. I'm going, and I think that's
I'll
it.
be getting there Wednesday.
Yeah, I really wanted to go, but sadly, I couldn't afford to do it. So maybe next year, we'll see. But it looks good. It looks really good. Also, a lot of our friends are going to be there because they're celebrating the 10th birthday party for our corporation. Are they not?
Yeah, that's really Dice Corporation with Lady Scarlet and all the guys. Some from Europe are coming, and it's going to be pretty cool because that's 10 years. That's a long time to have, corporation running, and especially in a video game. Right, so E-Vegas.
Congrats to who was it? Mercenary Coalition for winning the Alliance suite upgrade, and I think Moose Federation also won a suite upgrade. So props to them. They got some suites. See, everybody, it's not rigged. PL doesn't win everything.
So that's where the party is. So real quick, we're just going to read these off. We're not going to analyze them too much, even though we kind of should. But Inception has been announced. Are you guys happy about that?
Yes. Very. It's about... Oh, man. It feels like years ago that I was talking about this, but it was sort of 2-3 years ago. me and a few courtmates were saying, why don't they actually do a story-based new player experience? Ta-da!
Yeah, well,
Hopefully it's like the product of CCP Ghost's work. So
having Aura on, is amazing. Although I don't like the new voice; it's way too human. I like the robotic one that was there before. But I always said that Aura is the one that kept me in the game long enough to like have it stick. So I'm glad they went that route.
Aura's voice has been upgraded to more modern technology.
Yeah, right.
And it opens up for so many new opportunities from CCP, things that they can develop on a lot easier by using the whole procedural stuff.
Yeah, but it's cool. I think it's going to be really interesting. It'll be more traditional for certain people to get into the game, and it really is neat when you're immersed in EVE at least for a few weeks, and then you can get into the complication and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. Because I think one of the hardest things that a lot of people find is in that first few hours is just being guided a little bit on what's going on and trying to find out what this universe is. I mean, somebody put up a post recently saying who's from 2003 and who remembers the tutorial, which was basically, here's a ship, here's an asteroid, go mine it, and that was it. So to finally get something that actually will help players get more immersed in the universe and hopefully more invested in it is without relying too much on the wider community, at least not for the initial stages, is probably a good thing in my book.
Yeah. Well, you were here in 2003, Caleb. What was it like?
Quiet.
Chaotic and buggy as hell.
Yeah. All right.
What was the new player experience like, Caleb? Was it like, I don't know? Did you break out?
We didn't have new
printed
players.
rulebook, or?
I don't think we really had that many new players. I know that they were streaming in. I don't know what the experience was, but most of the people I was surrounding myself with was all the old people from beta. So there was no new player experience from me. It was like, okay, I'm going from one type of buggy to another type of buggy.
Well, okay.
Launch drones, crash the client. That was 2003 to 2004, I think.
Or launch drones and they go and attack something else completely different to what you're trying to get them to attack.
Yeah, they did not have a big at all.
Okay, yeah. So Cider's being removed from Apple. The Mac launcher, and you have new skins because the Crimson Harvest is back, which I guess is Halloween in EVE now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole series of interactions with NPCs that's theme-based for a few weeks and gives you some rewards that are just kind of seasonal. Well, that's kind of cool. Alliance tournament ended, and we have a new winner now. It's the help me out.
Tuskers.
I get the Tuskers and the
Asterisk.
Bastards. I get all those guys mixed up.
It was pretty good, actually. Seeing that. Well done to everybody that finished in the top three, which was Tuskers. PL came in second. I forget who came in third. But NC came in fourth, so I'm happy with that. That was a good result for us.
Pretty much everybody in the look. If you made it into the top 10, job well done. But obviously, those teams up there in the top three are I'm sorry, they're in a bit of a different league.
A bit.
Yeah, it was really good finals as well. It was just a shame with the DCs that happened in the last match, the third to last match.
Yeah,
but it was really exciting, I think. Even people who aren't into PvP were hooked by it.
Yeah, I think the viewing figures on Twitch got up to somewhere around like 9,000 people or something.
It
crossed 10.
It broke 10,000 right there around that second to last match. Yeah.
Nice. Which I think is probably
finals,
one of the highest, wasn't it? I think that's probably one of the highest.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when was the last time? I think it was 2011 or 10. Was the first time they broke 10,000 viewers, and then it kind of dropped below that. So it's really, really good to see it get back up to that level again.
Yep.
Well, that's cool.
It did help that we had so many awesome nail-biter matches. That was amazing. I was just going, oh my god, and some hero flying from many of the teams. But of course, I was following Tuskers, and that was some awesome stuff. The way they saved the flagship.
I think changing the rules to get rid of things like tinkers and that really did help shake it up quite a bit. So those close matches were possible rather than, oh, hang on a minute, we're going to have to fight someone that's actually quite tough. So here comes the tinker, and let's try and kill our tinkerlogy and take us out.
Yeah, I didn't miss that kind of stuff this year. Yeah, I didn't miss the damp wars of the last 2 years. I mean, this year it looked like ECM was more of the meta on that side. But
the most interesting thing about it was I've lost my point. Why have I lost my point? Never mind. Carry on.
I think you left it under the couch behind you there.
You went out of range.
I did.
All right, well, we need to move on anyway. We have a lot to cover, specifically about an article that came out on TMC about the Olivia, I am Olivia, or my name is Olivia campaign. We'll get to that in just a second. I just want to finish up a couple more points, and that is that
coming up after the break. Breaking news.
New explosions. Look for them on TMC soon. Sorry, on Tranquility soon. And that's it for the news. And on to the Olivia story.
Yeah, I just want to, before we go any further in with that, or we start with that, I want to say that everything that was donated on the Facebook page has now actually been refunded by the admins of the Facebook page. I've got the API and I've spoken to the admins just now, and everything has been repaid to people.
Okay, that means that...
Well, geez, you kind of front run the news then, don't you?
Yeah. No.
We're already getting into resolution territory.
Yeah,
but I thought it was important to get that out there first.
Okay, so what she's talking about is that there was a fundraiser that collected a bunch of money on behalf of a hoax, and the hoax was unveiled, and so the money is going back to their proper owners, so damage will be less severe than it could have been. But let's actually get into the story of it, and Reaver did a lot of work on this story, but maybe she's too close to it, so can we get Dirk to kind of bring us up to speed?
Well, okay. I mean, I'm going to give a TLDR on a bit of the background, right? Back in, what was it, October 4th or whatever it was, an individual using what looked to be a personal Facebook page posted out onto an EVE Online player-run fan Facebook group that was just a short paragraph that that something had happened, somebody had been trolled and had caused somebody else to make make a suicide attempt, a failed suicide attempt. Then you had a sister, I guess, also make a post, and then of course the first source to get on it, and I want to say put it into kind of like major publication, was when the Neocom put their story out regarding it. Now that story was really based on just the limited information that was out at the time. It then got picked up by the community out there, whether it be Reddit or wherever. I think even on Open Comms one night, I probably said something about it, about how troubling it would be that players in our game would end up trolling somebody to the point, especially somebody who was supposedly seeking help. Anyways, fast forward, until recently,
which was an outrage, right? The community was outraged at that.
Well, the community was outraged at that, and rightfully so that they would have been outraged, right? The information that they are being provided is that something happened, and look, the first step that's ever going to happen out there is going to be outrage first. Okay. Now, whether or not anybody takes the initiative to go past that and look into the details is a different story. But let's remember that this was also an extremely sensitive topic, right? This was not an accusation that somebody had real money traded through a casino, or somebody was, a dirty cheater or something like that, right? This was a claim that a real life individual had made a suicide attempt because of trolling. So that added a degree of sensitivity to it that even if people felt squeamish about this in some way, that maybe some things weren't adding up, they probably weren't going to get in front of a freight train that that called it into question. There's a huge thing out there about blaming victims, and if you even question these things. So I understand why our community, which I believe is by and large a very good one, was willing to rage out about bad behavior, and B, try and find ways of supporting the reported victim. All the while CCP was to be investigating this, and people were waiting and things along those lines. I'm going to be honest, from a personal perspective, I kind of forgot about this. I knew it was still out there, and I was waiting for CCP and stuff like that. But you know what? I kind of forgot about it, actually. It wasn't something until you brought me in and kind of wanted to hear what it was you guys were working on, and sort of be a sounding board for
reason.
for reason. And I really do applaud the fact, not that you chose me, because I don't know that I necessarily always have reason, but the level of sensitivity that went into digging through this stuff and knowing where it was kind of headed as you began to pull threads, the back and forth, the hours spent just being a devil's advocate of, do we have enough? Do we have enough? Have we contacted these people? Have we contacted CCP? Have we contacted other interested parties? All of that stuff, all because of the level of sensitivity to the subject matter. Again, if this had been some casino thing, you could have run with whatever you wanted to, and nobody, and people still would have flamed out or whatever. Yep. But this, again, nobody wants to blame the victim, especially in a case like this. And I don't know. I mean, ultimately, the article, the article is out there. That there's an incredible amount of work done that showing that what we believe. And when I say we, because I can't take my hat out of this ring at this point. That what we believe is false identities were created. Okay. The supposed victim, we believe, is one of those false identities. And there is a perpetrator out there that we believe we know who it is. And, we've now put all that information off to CCP. Everything we have is with CCP. What we are now hearing is that there are a number of other people out there who found this questionable. A number of other people out there who supposedly have done similar legwork to what was done at Imperium News and have sent it to CCP, or did some work, found it sketchy, and just wrote it off as this is sketchy. But also we're beginning to crowdsource some looking into this as well. So
I think it's important to mention that of course the Space Probes video really hit a lot of people very hard, right? And the community was responding exactly how we would want it to respond when something like that happens. And then that they were duped, and some people actually did have it very early on, reported it to CCP, and nothing else was done. So they were, I don't know if they were squeamish about actually telling this story, but they were holding it back, watching all these people stay on that story, believing it, and being totally hoodwinked.
Go ahead, Tiberius, and then we'll take it to Riva, who will walk us through the investigation.
Yeah, I mean, like when I first saw this pop up on Facebook, and subsequently when it popped up on Reddit, I just kind of like looked at it, and I started looking into it to try and decide whether or not I wanted to write an article about it. But there was no information. It was just all superficial. It was just like, this thing happened. Okay, well, who's the in-game character? Where's the information involved in this? Where's all the specifics? Why are you posting this as a real life person? Why aren't you, posting this on Reddit? When normally when people talk about these suicide things and things that are very personally tough for them to talk about, the normal instinct is to try and sort of go on a broadcast rep type thing and do it slightly anonymous. because it's easy to talk about on that situation. And why are you posting this on Facebook? Why aren't you going straight to CCP about this? And all these questions in my head kind of made me step back from it and go, I'm going to let this lie and see how it plays out. Because I was convinced at the back of my head that this whole thing was completely unravel in like 3 weeks' time. And here we are. We've got the article that's come out that Riva and the guys over at TMC have done a very good job in investigating. I read it and I was like, yep, that pretty much falls in with what I was thinking.
Another consultant. I do want to say...
Well, we did. I mean, that was one of the things, right? Not only did we want a set of eyes who's not usually part of kind of the writing team at TMC Imperium News, right? But even when it was done, we wanted an outside set of eyes to take a look at it.
Yeah. I do want to say, I think it might be okay to say, but CCP Falcon said ballsy reporting. I hope I don't get banned for saying that out loud, but I think that's pretty cool. I think everybody...
he's saying ballsy because our nuts are on the line if the real investigation comes out the wrong way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but it was one thing to kind of find the stuff. I don't think it was too difficult to find the stuff. It was found rather quickly, but then we went and did a lot more extensive searching. But also, it was the bravery of taking on an issue with some sensitivity and caution, and just like Dirk was saying and stuff. But yeah, let's go back to the beginning. Riva, this started with you.
Yeah, so last Wednesday, I was contacted by someone who asked me if I'd looked at the Olivia story because to them it felt weird. They thought the Facebook accounts didn't look right, and they just asked me if I'd looked into it at all. So, to be honest, all I did was I went to the Facebook page and I right-clicked the image and said, show this in Google Images. And then the other Twitter account popped up. And it just really went from there. From there, we were able to look at the other people that are posted on the Facebook page associated with it and just do reverse image searches there. And yeah, it all came undone once. That's literally all people had to do was just a reverse image search, and it would have come up with the alternative identities that were out there. It was we've spent I would say we've spent 40 plus hours on this, including 12 plus hours yesterday editing it to make sure that we weren't completely wrong, that there wasn't any way that we just caught up in this and were just believing stuff because we were looking it up. So this is why we got Tiberius to look it over, and this is why Dirk was in. And yeah, it was just to make sure that we hadn't got it wrong, because even up until we hit publish, we were still having that, are we wrong on this? Is there any way that Olivia exists? Is there any way that we've been mistaken? But I mean, we talked to the in-game alliances. I talked to people from Broadcast for Reps. I was just asking around, just saying, has anyone got any evidence of any of this happening at all? Does anyone know who Olivia is? Has anyone ever spoken to her? And people were just coming back saying the contact we have had is with the person who posted the Facebook post in the first place. And it seemed that that was the only link. And as Dirk said, that we have a whole load of other stuff that we didn't publish because obviously you have to be careful what information you put out there. So we only put information out that was related to the 3 people who have been associated with the Facebook story about Olivia. And the rest of it we have sent to CCP, so they have the information. And I've spoken to the admin of the Facebook page just now, and he says he has some other stuff. So I've asked him to send that to CCP as well. And I would like to say that the Facebook page guys, they responded really quickly when this went out. They immediately came forward and said, yes, we are going to refund all donations. And that's what they've been doing this morning. And the API shows that, yeah, these donations are going back. And I've heard from other people that, yes, everything has been paid back now. So I don't want anyone thinking that the guys who started the Citadel funding thing for Olivia were anything to do with the original poster. They just got caught up in the snowball that was happening.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that bears saying here is that the article itself, okay, is, I want to say, limited to the information that calls into question the identities, or the identities and actual existence of Olivia and her sister.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it does not go far enough to say who we think, is the perpetrator. And that was probably an hour and a half long conversation about whether or not we could put that in there, along with who we believe that their in-game character is, without somehow breaching the EULA. Now, quite honestly, I tried to find it out in the EULA as to whether or not, that would be some sort of, thing, because on their Facebook page, they actually admit to, I'm sorry, on a Facebook post, the original poster out there actually gives what looks to be his in-game name, and what we are of high confidence is his in-game name. But we didn't want to put that in there. There's also an incredible amount of work unraveling Olivia and unraveling her sister. Were kind of easy because their trails really end pretty quickly. However, the original poster, his trail goes on and on and on and on. And digging through that is what really gave us the feeling that, while it wasn't necessary to put into the story, because it was stuff unrelated to Eve, it was good background information to make us believe this is not the only thing he's been responsible for in the past, as far as what looks to be something related to catfishing, or at least using pictures of other people to represent himself out there within the dark, gloomy world of the friggin' internet.
Yeah, and I would say that these Facebook accounts were not created just for the purpose of this Olivia thing. They've existed for around 3 years. So I don't want people thinking that this individual created these just to carry this out in Eve. It seems that it just accidentally spilled over into Eve. And so, yeah, I don't want people taking away that this was created just for this. It's something that's been going on before the Olivia thing started. And it's been, as Dirk said, used for catfishing or for other purposes online for around 3 years. So it's just coincidental that it ended up being caught up in Eve. The Olivia thing and the Citadel donation stuff that happened is not the reason for creating these fake profiles. And I think that's something that people should be aware of.
It's also why everything in the investigation was done with so much care, right? The number of hours needed to figure out that there's something fishy going on, that's not really hours of work. That's a few seconds of reverse Google image searching. The big challenge was that once the clue was there, we had to reach some sort of reasonable doubt thing, right? We had to be entirely sure that this was actually the case, and being very careful not to do things like doxing or spilling into real life, and doing this with great care and caution before actually pushing the publish button, because pushing that button was something that people were discussing all the way up till like the last minute, because what if we've not done everything we can to figure out that this is actually a scam?
And yeah, one of the things that came to light while we were investigating this was that the Olivia Facebook account had started putting out posts about how, hey, I'm single. Would anyone like to meet up with me in Vegas? I'm decided I want to get together with someone, and this sort of thing. And so it seems that it was then leveraging the support that they got from the Eve players to potentially carry on the catfishing thing. And that was quite an important thing. That was quite an important motivator in us saying, okay, maybe this is something we need to go ahead and publish. It seems like it's spilling over from Eve.
Then you start getting into dangerous territory there as well.
Yeah.
I was saying before that now that this story has come out publicly, right? You are having some people come out of the woodwork in areas out there talking about, again, how they felt queasy about it. Okay, like all of a sudden it's okay to say now, right? But you've also got other ones who were apparently conducting their own investigations. Now, what they decided to do with their information was to just take it directly to CCP, which absolutely is a thing you can do, and a thing that you probably should do. Under those circumstances, all right. That being said, nobody was apparently willing to really work together. Okay, like I mean, even people we reached out to, all right, that that said that they didn't have anything. I'm now hearing that they maybe did have something, but because they had given it to CCP, that they were unwilling to work the other way. So I don't know. This has gone on what I'll call long enough over the course of the last 18 days at this point.
Yep.
That somewhere along the line, given what we were talking about here, given that we were saying that elements of the Eve community trolled a person into attempting to commit suicide. Okay, this ain't the freaking bonus room. All right, this is something that needed to take precedence with somebody much more rapidly. I'm not blaming CCP, okay? But this was something that probably needed to have some degree of communication out there. I don't want, again, I'm not blaming anybody, but damn it, there's a time when somebody is going to end up doing something like this, and they're going to print an article. We did go to CCP. If CCP didn't want this article run, okay, I would have absolutely lobbied to have this article held off. If that,
but if they'd have said hold it, we would have done.
They couldn't give us any comment. Okay, they wouldn't give us any comment. They were happy, and we were happy to give them the information that we had. And I hope that aids them, because they have way more tools than we do, right? Way more tools. They can reach into every chat log that ever existed. They can reach into all sorts of other places and be checking IP addresses against known operators out there and that sort of thing. So I hope that they find this, because this right here, if it is who we think it is, and if they were behind this the way that we think that they were behind it, this is, this, it goes beyond banhammer territory. It goes, it goes into whether or not local authorities need to be fucking contacted over this shit.
And we're maybe missing the fact that it could even have been handled from CCP, since they've had that long time in information. They could have handled it kind of silently, where basically just using Facebook and reporting the profile, so they suddenly disappeared, and then the penny would drop for the majority of the community, right? So the fact that they did nothing, I think it's a little bit strange. I can understand that they might have thought that this is not really directly related to in-game stuff because it spills into real life, and that's not really their jurisdiction. And then, of course, the people that reported it, they thought that when a submission of a report says resolved, that means that CCP has resolved anything. No, it means that they are saying received message, thank you very much. It doesn't mean resolve the issue.
I mean, we can focus on, I want to say what was done as a part of this, and how we got to where we did, as far as the story went. Okay. But I do want to also focus on another thing, and that is I want to say the backlash now. The community did the right thing, if even under the circumstances, the wrong reason. I mean, it was the right reason. It was just like, under a fraudulent set of conditions, right?
Yeah, I want to.
But this is the way that the community should react when they hear something like that, right? And and elements of the community should look in and they should question, and you shouldn't be afraid to question simply because it is a sensitive, a sensitive issue. But there are a number of people out there now that are coming back with stuff related to charity. This doesn't have to do with charity, people. This doesn't have to do with in-game charities or out-of-game charities or anything like that. This has to do with somebody lying. Now, what they ended up trying to do after the fact, okay, is a different story. But this has to do with somebody lying about an attempted suicide, okay, and trolling. So all of this stuff that people want to bring up about whether or not they agree or disagree with Broadcast for Reps, whether who had nothing to do with this other than being named as kind of a place where Olivia supposedly posted something, and then it led to her being trolled, at another time. Broadcast for Reps had nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
For that. Charities had nothing to do with this. Any of the talk you hear out there, but about charities of this or charities of that had nothing to do with this. There's nothing wrong with people trying to be good to one another. And when something happens on the rare occasions that it does, that it's bad, that all of a sudden, you know what, just throw it all away. Forget it. It's all just too much hassle.
I will also say that, as you know, Dirk, we discussed this when we were investigating it. I don't think the initial attempt was to scam ISK or whatever. I think that for whatever reason, the person made a post on Facebook, and it just snowballed. And once it had snowballed, then they thought, hey, people are offering us stuff. We've got the opportunity here to do something, to get this ISK. And I am hearing that this individual has been asking for stuff before in the Facebook page. And they had actually been contacting the Facebook admins recently, asking, when are we going to get the money the ISK from the donations? When are we going to be able to start building our stuff that we want to build in games? So they've been, opportunistic, I would say, rather than planning to scam people from the beginning. I don't think they thought it would get as big as it did.
Agreed. And that was another thing that we kind of didn't get into in the article, right? The section on motive. What was the motivation behind this, right? And we debated this for hours along the way, right? And what I kept saying was, what? Motivation doesn't matter to this article. This article is about trying to communicate with the player base and EVE community that, what? There's something highly questionable going on here that everybody needs to be aware of. So before ISK starts trading hands out there, before this goes on longer and the community gets more revved up about it and really invested in what's going on here, we need to get out there that this is questionable. As for motivation, trying to determine somebody's intent is incredibly difficult. And it really didn't do anything to support what the intention of the article was.
No. And I think that one of the other conclusions we reached, we were discussing this from the beginning, and even just before we hit publish, it was, there may be some logs out there somewhere of something, but Olivia, it did not happen to Olivia, and Olivia does not exist. And that was the main thing that we wanted to get across. It is completely possible that there are some logs. We have seen nothing that indicates there are logs. But of course, as you said, CCP have access to these things that we don't. So it is important that we went over that a load of times, that is there any way that Olivia is real? Is there any way that this happened? And we kept coming back to, even if there are logs, it's not Olivia. And people have been told that it is Olivia. So, that was what we wanted to get out.
So things like motivation, and really, I want to say naming and shaming the perp in this. again, we got caught up in, not wanting to violate what potentially might be in the EULA or anything along those lines. But let's put it this way. All right. The original poster for this has posted more than enough out on the Facebook. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a link to the Facebook post of that individual. All right. There are ways of finding out who they are supposedly connected to as at least one of their in-game characters.
Yeah.
This is something, though, that as much as I would love, okay, to name and shame, as much as I would love, okay, to hang this guy from a friggin' tree out there somewhere, all right, proverbially, okay, not like literally, all right, figuratively, sorry, this is CCP's domain. And this is where they need to drill down super deep with an anal probe on this guy and find out.
Well, here I am making an appearance, but is it really, because this seems like it's more of a Facebook problem.
Yeah.
On the legal side of things, as far as who needs to clamp down.
I mean, totally. It's all basically started because someone decided to post something on the Facebook. It's kind of makes me a little bit sad to think that we need to have CCP needs to actually spend time doing this, which there's a reason for them to do it, but it's an external force that's created this, and now we're kind of asking for CCP that they need to actually get involved and sort this. And I understand there is some situations where they need to put their foot down and step in front of it, but again, it's like they've got to investigate it. They've got to go in and look at it and sort it all out, and somebody's got to be paid to do that, and it's just such a monumental waste of time. And that is the thing that annoys me, is that this person has gone in and just started and just wasted everybody's time, and that's what annoys me. And the fact that we need to have some form of validation from the games company who just want to spend the time making a game and not dealing with this nonsense. It's just absolute garbage. Is what frustrates me the most about this entire situation.
Yeah, I think I do agree. It is a shame that CCP are going to have to spend time investigating this now, and it does take a lot of effort to go through things. But I also think that it's a shame that people might be put off from helping out other people because of this.
Yeah,
the EVE community stepped up when they thought there was a problem, and they said, we are going to help this person. We are going to be there for them. And then it turned out to be not true. So I don't want people to be, to avoid helping out people anymore. That's my main concern with this.
And there was a lot of concern for the actual perpetrator, because we don't really know in detail what the issues were, and there was a lot of people actually commenting this, which I was surprised about, that they had sympathy for the fact that he might actually be doing this for personal reasons, for psychological reasons, or just because something just snowballed out of his control, right? So we have to be careful about how we respond to this, and we have to pack in the pitchforks and the tar and feathers. This is not what it's about, right? And there was a lot of discussions about this. One thing is that we wanted to get out there was that the community responded in a way that we wanted it to, and we had to release this information. But when we start discussing about CCP and their workload, the recent comments that I think it was Noji about how the load of team security when it comes to things like RMT and unraveling these stories and investigating, it's just cost adding up. And because we as players are responsible for so much of the content, we end up doing a lot of that work voluntarily.
And that's something else I want to comment on.
It's also because we're willing, some of you, are willing to go and do the legwork. And we know that EVE players, whether it be building spreadsheets or building third-party apps or doing all of these things that push things to the nth degree, not everybody does that, but enough of them do to where they are willing to go, to go to these lengths to find out. I think it should also be noted that this is not unique to Eve. Let's not pretend for one moment that Eve is somehow a terrible place that breeds awful people. Right?
No.
This is the internet. Okay, and this is a game that is played over the internet. So therefore, we are going to have the same elements that reside in the general internet population. This doesn't happen all the time in Eve. I can't remember an event that is like this. In Eve, but we do hear about catfishing. We do hear about identity theft. We do hear about impersonation, across the internet, almost to the point now where you don't hear about it because it just happens so much.
And other games have had things where people have said that they've got cancer or they've got other diseases for their guild or other groups within the game to help them out, and they've been faking it. So it's not unique to Eve, and I know we're known for perhaps being bad people, but we're not really. We have the same mix of people as everywhere else on the internet. And I will say that the Facebook page, everyone on there has actually reacted very, very calmly. Of course, they're upset that they got taken in by this, but there is no massive witch hunt going on at the moment, and they know who the person that is alleged to be behind this is. And yeah, so I do think that the reaction has been very measured from Facebook. The people that were actually taken in, the people that handed over their risk, the people that contacted this individual personally through private messages on Facebook, etc. They were the ones who were mostly harmed in any way by this. And they are handling it very well.
Yeah, I was reading that. Actually, did you already say that the person who originally posted all this, that's kind of at the center of the whole thing, came on there and denied that it was false, or denied that his story was false?
Denied vehemently, denied in capital letters,
in super caps.
Yeah, and in super caps, which again, that Facebook page appears to be the place where he really likes to communicate.
Yeah, there's other stories coming out about what Olivia and Annabelle, her sister, have been doing on that Facebook page over the past few months as well.
Yeah, it's not for us to talk about his motives and what they actually were, but I
don't care why you robbed the liquor store. You robbed the liquor store.
Yeah, but I do get this sense of sadness that when I talked to the alliance that he was a part of, this guy had built a corporation and was recruiting to it, and it actually grew enough that he left the alliance that he was in because, as the alliance leader put it, he graduated and went to he went to do their own thing. And I just thought, here's a guy that probably liked Eve, probably had a thing going, and everything's fine. It's just that he doesn't understand how to handle things. And so when things go wrong for him, he leverages these tools in a spiteful way that end up making him self-destruct. And there's something very Greek tragedy about that.
Yeah, and I think that is definitely a part of it. And we spoke to the alliance that was initially accused of it, as well as to their former alliance. And I mean, I felt quite sorry for those two alliances, because the alliance that was accused of having these individuals within it, when we spoke to them, they've been spending quite a lot of time trying to find out if these people were in there. And then other people were telling me, yes, there's been people banned from this alliance. So they were as confused as everyone else seemed to be. And when we spoke to their former alliance, Crab Republic, that guy seemed very confused about what was going on. And yeah, I feel there's a lot of people that have just been taken advantage of in one way or another in this. And it's not a good thing for Eve, but it's good that the community has come together like it does, and it's still holding it together. There's no witch hunt going on that I can see at the moment.
Well, there's a witch out there, and we
yeah, there is.
and they should be hunted by CCP at this point. I guess, but no, I mean, and again, what we can't do, right, is say because something bad happens, therefore throw out all the goodness that does come through Eve. Going through this process, and again, I was there initially as kind of an observer and sort of, sounding board of, do you think, that what we are finding here is what it looks like? And are we presenting this in I want to call it a sympathetic way, or at least a sensitive way, given the topic. But throughout the entire process, I know all of us felt dirty. It's like, you were having to crawl down through the freaking gutter of not just this thing that affected Eve, but also in looking at what this individual has been connected to out there in other areas, and thinking, God.
Yeah.
Again, everybody, most people who listen to me know I have a kid. Okay. And this is the stuff that scares me to death, given how connected kids are to social media these days.
Yeah, that's where it gets serious. And this is a story that nobody wanted to write, for good reason. But even finding out that it was wrong, it wasn't a delight to do this. It was almost an obligation, because we had to stop what looked like an escalation. But River, can you talk about like how working in?
I'd like to point a small thing out before that, right?
Right after that, let's go to River, because I'm gonna have to get up. River can talk about what it was like with the support of TMC and the Imperium News and how that worked out. But go ahead, Caleb, and then River.
Well, the point is that the fact that we were all a little bit squeamish and felt dirty doing all this, and actually being nervous about actually pushing the button to publish the article, right? The whole point is that must have been exactly the same feeling that the people that found out the evidence initially, early on, had, right? So that is the reason that they didn't speak out. That's also why I think when something in the future like this happens and people are squeamish about actually saying anything, what they should do is, if they think that they have important information, they should go to one of the media and let them actually handle it, because that's where that decision can be made in a sensible way, right?
Yeah. Okay. So Dirk Matter wanted me to talk about how the support was. I would say that I was very nervous about going to Matterall with this and going, this thing, I think it's not a thing. And I will say that the amount of time and effort that the people, I think there's 5 of us involved in going over this the last 3-4 days with not very much sleep between us. I know I certainly got like 3 hours sleep on a few nights before work, and I think other people were up all night working on it too. But the support and the effort that people have put in, and the editors that weren't involved yesterday, we were just getting them nonstop to come in and check and confirm and say, are we wrong? Is there any edits anywhere? Is there any typos? The level of support and help that I had from Matterall and Dirk and the various other people that were in the small team that we had going on, and the wider editors was extremely helpful. And I would not have written this on my own, definitely not.
We can go a little.
But then again, it wouldn't have gotten written. It wouldn't have gotten written without the level of legwork. I mean, in terms of total hours put into this, most of it was spent doing those types of searches, right? But also reading through the material, which is like,
do you know how many posts there are on those Facebook posts?
Yes.
There's like 200 posts that I had to go through to find links and everything, and it was very confusing for everyone involved trying to follow everything.
Honestly, to look at this in hindsight, it doesn't go any differently than what it did. Meaning that if on day one, okay, I just don't see that somebody was going to go, well, wait a second, and really start questioning it heavily, because I really do believe that the natural inclination is to believe stuff like this. We're confronted with bad things all the time, in the media and things like that. That's make it sound highly plausible. I don't think that this would have happened in any other way than really what it did. Now, we can sit there and say, well, is this a learning experience that the next time something like this happens, it should be an automatic, show me the proof. But that's not going to happen. And it probably
Yeah.
shouldn't happen, because that means that we are becoming way more cynical and jaded than is probably necessary.
More cynical and jaded? I think a lot of us are pretty cynical and jaded already.
level 6.
And
I think we're pushing 7.
To answer Sidrak, he's just asked, would it be harder to investigate without Google image search?
That would have been
Yes,
possible.
I think that. Yeah, Google image search was pretty much all we did. So, yeah, it would have been much harder without the Google image search. If he hadn't used public Facebook pictures and public Twitter pictures, it would have been very difficult. And actually, we got really lucky. The current Facebook picture was changed on the 11th of October from the old one. The current Facebook picture is the one that links to the Twitter. So if that picture hadn't been up, it might have taken us longer to get to where we ended up.
Yeah, so, where it goes from here, as far as I'm concerned, completely in CCP's hands. But I do think that it's important that that the Eve community, the public out there, the people who were going above and beyond to try and respond in what they saw positively, regarding this, at least they know, right? Whether or not there are punishments handed down is secondary to the fact of the rest of it. That at least the information is at least the question is out there, and out there big enough to cause people to pause for a moment. If CCP were to come up and come out and find something different that that damages some aspect of the story or something like that, I do not believe that they are going to be able to find something that completely takes that story and throws it into the trash. I do not believe that, and that was one of the reasons why I finally said yes. I'm comfortable as well with with this, that the preponderance of the evidence is such that it really does call the entire thing into question.
As I said, we did worry that we kind of had got Stockholm syndrome from sitting in this in these darkened rooms for like 3 days, going through this stuff. So we did. That's why we put the information we had out to the other editors of TMC yesterday, to say, is there any way that we are wrong? If this is the evidence we have, are we crazy? Or have we got this right? Well, and that was very helpful.
And just so people know, the if anybody thinks that there was a rush to put this article out, so we did contact CCP. We were ultimately able to get into direct communication with them. Not that they were able to give us any feedback, and not that they gave us a head shake or a head nod type of thing. But this was not a rush to put it out so that we could talk about it this morning on Talking in Stations. But we were looking at some of the things that were going on out there in terms of donation collection, and seeing where they were saying that in the next day they're going to start turning over some of this ISK. And believe me, people, after what we just dealt with this whole casino operation and whatnot out there, we're not talking big money here. We're talking, low tens of billions, if or whatever.
Tens of billions is still a lot to some people.
It is a lot to somebody, but again, on the scale of some of the other things that we've seen in Eve, we're not talking about a lot of ISK, right? But it was just more along the lines of before those people feel as though their ISK somehow disappeared into the nether or whatever. I think we wanted to be able to get the story out there.
Yeah, it was when the Facebook page had a post saying all ISK will now be given directly to Olivia, so she can do with it what she wants. Then that was when we said, okay, maybe we need to go ahead with this.
Yeah, and I think the expediency in getting this out was probably one of the best things to happen, because if the charge wasn't taken to look into it and actually uncover all of this, now it could have snowballed into something much, much bigger. And if it fell over then, when more of the community was involved and more of the community invested, then who knows what would have happened. The fallout of that would have been many, many times worse. Now it's just kind of a case of, well, hang on a minute. Okay, it's turned out to be false. So the money's going back to the people that gave it in the first place. So no real damage is done.
And the public stuff that you saw that you see out there in terms of kind of fundraising and stuff, right? Given what we were seeing in kind of the outer the other types of areas related to the original poster of this, okay, the guy that we think is the culprit, the whole idea of catfishing, right? We have no idea what may have been going on behind the scenes in private chats or anything like that, because once this went down, a number of people followed Olivia on Facebook. Okay, there were probably 50 or 60 Eve players that we saw out there, as followers of some of these things, and so we didn't know what might have been going on, in private chats that maybe would have been taken then into chats outside of game or things along those lines. So really, it just became one of those things of, if we're going to get this out, we're going to get it out now. If CCP is not going to say, don't do it, please, or please give us a week or something like that, we would have absolutely considered that. But they didn't. So it was like, you know what, put it out to the community.
But there's a huge controversy in that, right? In the fact that this is not CCP jurisdiction, right? They can't really do much. If you look at the actual story, there's not really been a breach of anything in that they usually handle, right? I am allowed to log into Eve and scam people, claiming I'm a girl, claiming I'm whatever, that I'm 90 years old. This is not illegal, right? This is part of the game, and it has been since day one. So in the case of jurisdiction, CCP couldn't really do anything. So they had to decide, do we want to make this a thing because it's a real life issue? Because you're not allowed to impersonate other people in the real world. You're not allowed to try to scam them out of money by fraudulent means. So this is maybe why CCP held back and waited for the community to unravel this themselves. You could say that they might have been proactively supposed to do something, like get Facebook to delete the fake profiles and things like that. But they don't have any other thing. And I don't even think, I can't really find exactly where in this story there's a bannable offense.
Well, there is.
Well,
the answer.
What you don't think that there's a bannable offense that's tied to this here?
Well, where can you find it? I think they should be banned. Don't get me wrong.
I
could absolutely make it fit under Section 8 of the Terms of Service in terms of impersonation.
You also have to be a natural adult to open an account.
Well,
Olivia is not an adult. Olivia does not exist.
Okay, you're going to use the living person,
but
then
we get into the whole alt thing and whatnot, and whether or not it's. I think that
exactly.
You can absolutely find certain clauses within the EULA, okay, that can be used here, because this was not only the public information that is available on Facebook out there and things like that is one thing. There were also communications that have taken place, we think, in the game, but CCP would be the one to really be able to do that. But again, you go back to the bonus room situation over harassment, right? CCP kind of laid down a new line in the sand out there about, if you're doing something related to Eve, but off in a non-Eve domain, that they can consider that. So there's absolutely precedent that can be used here.
Yeah.
And you know what?
But we don't want to.
Reserves the right is pretty much the big word, that people need to consider. They reserve the right.
And, I do, as we were arguing about last night when trying to publish this, we're not space lawyers. We're not real lawyers. We're not anything like that. So it's not really down to us to say whether the EULA has been breached anywhere or anything like that. That's CCP. We're just sort of semi-space investigators.
That's right. This is just a hobby.
Yeah.
What a strange hobby it is, with all its twists and turns, that's for sure.
But yeah, I'm going to update the article to state that all the ISK has now been returned to the people. So there isn't any doubt about that.
Yep. Well, and the other thing that needs to, yes, we did in fact make attempts to reach out to the people that we believed were real humans, real people out there, but their images were being used by Olivia and her sister. We did attempt to reach out to them. So please, if you're thinking, oh my God, I need to go and alert because you've done your own little back search now and figured out who those people are through various social media, we have done that. These people don't need to be spammed. They don't need to be, all of that.
Yeah.
Suddenly spammed by 1,000 geeks.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's really much more we can.
No, I don't think we can really say much more about it.
Yeah, because I don't want to. I don't want to beat the horse on this one. I mean,
and there's more stuff unraveling, right?
Space Investigators, Law and Order.
Get the shuttering door noise from Law and Order. I guess. Well, if that's kind of, I mean, obviously the conversation has kind of run its natural course, and I think we're coming to the end of that. There's one on lighter news, on happier news. I would like to sort of just go through some of the upcoming meets in the next week. Eve Belfast is this evening, so if you're over at Belfast in Northern Ireland, it's at the Garrick Bar. Then we've also got the Houston monthly meet. That is on the 29th of October, Houston, United States. That's at the King's Head Pub again. That looks like a pretty good one. Then, obviously, next weekend as well, we've also got the kicking off of Eve Vegas, but also there's a special meet just for Valkyrie players at the PBR Rock Bar and Grill in Vegas. So if you're an Eve Valkyrie player and you're at Vegas, then go and check that out as well.
Do you believe that there's any chance at all during Eve Vegas that CCP will be announcing that they will no longer be supporting Valkyrie?
I don't think so somehow. I mean, well, but Valkyrie's just like launched on PlayStation VR, and apparently the servers.
It was a red wedding joke.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, God, Rouge Wedding.
Rouge Wedding. God, I remember that one. But actually, that brings on an interesting point. That we've had all this stuff announced in the last couple of weeks. We've had like the industrial complexes, and we've had. A whole bunch of new features, the raw call, all that sort of stuff. What's free to play? The new NPE store stuff. What could they possibly be announcing in Vegas? That's what's left.
Walking in stations. I mean, okay. So yes, they have released the dev blog on the engineering. Complexes that will be coming out November 8th, right? Well, there are other structures, forward in the line. So maybe we'll see more related to that. Maybe they'll talk about something else. Last year at Eve Vegas, they unveiled the first glimpses into capital changes when they were unveiling some of the initial doomsdays for Titans and things along those lines. I mean, not major, huge reveals. But it's not FanFest from that regard. They don't bring out the really big stuff. But I don't know. If I had to speculate, I would say maybe more stuff related to future structures, drilling platforms and things like that. Maybe because drilling platforms are the next one up that are coming in the winter. Okay,
that's right.
Sometime probably January, February.
Yeah, it did.
How much they're going to expand on the other titles and other work, except outside of actual EVE Online, like the arena thing and the whole VR title stuff, because it seems as if there's a lot of money being funneled into those projects.
Well, they normally show off the new VR type stuff at FanFest. Although I would have thought it would make sense that they do it at Vegas as well, because the majority of the team that's involved with the development of the new VR technology is based in Atlanta. So that would kind of make sense for them to do it there.
People are saying casinos and stations. Yeah, exactly. You're not going to be able to walk in stations, but apparently you will be able to sit down at a poker table.
Well, that was the original idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, because there was a gamble button and things like that in the Eve client, wasn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, you guys probably covered
Basically,
that.
It's not lost on me that we've had this recent announcement over casinos, and like the next big player event is held in a casino.
Giant
I'm sorry, I can't see you through the irony.
Tiberius, do you know? I was trying to ask you about the GDC VR thing, the Game Developers Conference. It's supposed to be out now, right? I can't remember the exact date, but it's hitting just around the same time as Vegas, or just after. And
so that might be why they're there. Not there then.
Hey, look, it's a little Matterall.
Yeah, and the other one is still like huge in the screen.
But it's so. Yeah, I'm intrigued at what they're doing, and I think going down the line of the structures that are going to coming up in the winter, which are the drilling platforms, which is the things that's going to replace the moon goo extractors from POSes, is probably one of them. Which I'm going
to say, right? A revamp of how we acquire moon goo, okay, is absolutely huge to this game. Absolutely huge. When you talk about, it affects T2 production, it affects, nullsec extensively, okay, as well as low sec and and even high sec. But the big money is coming really from from the nullsec areas out there and whatnot. These are the things that in a pre-casino world, were the mainstay incomes of alliances.
Yep. Totally. Because that was your reward for owning the space. Like the reward for your corporation members was to be able to use the space to make money themselves. But as an alliance, it was always the claiming the moon and extracting the materials from them. And we all know that in the past that doing that generates massive amounts of income. I think holding onto a region would generate somewhere in the region of 50 to 60 billion ISK, maybe more, depending on what the region is as well. So it's quite interesting. Like Fountain, for example, has like 60 R64s or something ridiculous.
I mean, and there's a couple other events out there in terms of Amsterdam and Eve Down Under as well, that are coming up, and there does tend to be information that comes out of those events as well. I think that they've both grown to the size and are supported by CCP, to the point where information, not on the scale of typically what's revealed at an Eve Vegas, let's say, or certainly a Fan Fest.
Hello, Dirk.
But anyways, but more information.
Hello, dog here.
All right. Well, sorry. Finish up your point, and then we'll wrap up.
No, that was it. Is it it's just there tends to be information that comes from some of these other meets this time of year as well. So it's not just Eve Vegas where we could expect to hear some information.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tiberius.
No, I mean, like Doug says, is right. At NT, we had a sneak preview of all the new character sheet stuff, but that's all out on the test server now. Vegas, I'm expecting some big stuff because it's not just your regular meet. It's the second largest meet outside of FanFest. It's the other official CCP run event. So whenever they do something, it's they always release just a little bit more information. Whereas when it comes to like Eve Down Under and NT and some of they just give you like little tidbits of info. Oh, Amsterdam as well. I can't forget Amsterdam.
Well, do you think there'll be anything new, or is it just going to be the details of things?
I think it's probably. I think Dirk's probably going down the right line. It's going to be the new structures. I'm hoping we got the drilling platforms, and I'm hoping the new Stargate structures will show, because that is the last thing in the original plan, was the starting of the big Stargate construction. And we know that the small Stargates are going to be the ones that replace the jump bridges. So I'm hoping that those will be shown off at Vegas.
All right. Okay, so I'll just give you guys.
And then, of course, we're just going to party. So I mean,
really?
CCP may say something, and some people may hear it.
Well, that's why they record it, so you can watch it later, so you can spend the rest of your time drinking with your pals.
Exactly.
Well,
It's so bad. I eat so bad out there, and I don't eat any high end meals or anything like that. It's always like just trying to grab something, and just talk to people. It's a great event for talking to people. It just is.
Las Vegas, for those of you that can't make it, is like it's like a Disneyland of the world, but it's awful. And there's just people all over the floor outside, and
terrible place.
Terrible place. And I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not. But the food there, they make you pay like 4 times the normal amount, and they give you 4 times the normal amount. So you literally could feed a family off one plate, which is, and it's hard to find anything smaller, which bothers the heck out of me. But those are my pet peeves. Dirk, you love it there, right?
I love the atmosphere.
Let me talk it down and throw it to you.
No, I love the atmosphere there, but sometimes, walking from point A to point B, once you go outside of the comfort of, the giant hotel casino complex and whatnot, there's some sketchy people out in the street. You walk down that street and you do not question how there might be somebody like we were talking about earlier this evening, in existence.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's funny. It really is kind of like aliens. All right, cool. Caleb, do you have anything else you want to cover?
No, I'm all out now.
All right,
I'm
good.
tapped out.
Yeah.
I had a lot of notes, but they're all pertaining to markets, and we didn't get to cover those.
We didn't get to market. The original show was going to be Aerith. We're going to talk about CSM and markets. And, of course, that got eclipsed by a big story that came out. And also the schedules got compacted and mixed up. So it just worked out really well. I was up and down off the show a lot, so thank you guys for running the show yourselves. And I guess this weekend we will see you, or actually in a few days now, we will see you in Eve Vegas, some of you. And I'll be communicating with the rest of you guys while I'm there. I don't know if we'll do a show, but, we'll do some interviews or something.
We can get a lot of footage and maybe do a special show.
That'd be good. Is there going to be an open comms? Is that decided?
Yeah. Open Comms will be broadcasting on Thursday night at its normal time, which is 0100 UTC, which will be 6 p.m. local out there. But we're undecided yet as to the location. It will probably be someplace right in the event area. Either that or if we're able to wrangle somebody kind enough to say, hey, you can borrow our suite, then we'll do that. But yeah, we are going to be doing it. It's not going to be a traditional open comm show. It's not going to be us sitting there talking about what I'll call, Eve topics or whatever. Really, the goal of it is to be a place for people who are getting in on Thursday and want to hang out with some other people while we do the show live. We'll be looking to have, CCP employees that are there, kind of talk about things, as well as other people from, I'll call it the audience. To sort of talk about why it is they came to Eve Vegas. So it's not just going to be the talking heads like usual.
That's good. And for me, the best part of this whole thing is that Dirk's going to stick around because I love listening to him talk about Eve, I have to admit. All right, River, last chance for you. Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
No, I think that's it. I mean, it's been a crazy week with us. Yeah, I'm pleased the story is finally out there. And that other people are coming forward to corroborate it, because that was one of the things we were concerned about. Have we got this wrong? So it's good to have other people saying, yeah, we found similar things. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah,
One last thing. Get on Discord. Get on all the Discords.
Yeah.
Linked many times.
Are you, Riv, let me ask it. Are you at all concerned that somebody finds information that completely puts this thing in the toilet?
At this point, no.
I'm not either, except there's still that itch in the back of my head.
Yeah, you're still not sure, but yeah, I think at the moment, no.
And this is one of the things that I said last night, right? Is that the level of upside for writing this is pretty limited. I mean, the upside for writing it and being right. The downside of being wrong is like unlimited.
It's a cliff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's again, there was this whole thing related to this story of the unease just because of the subject matter and, and everything else that.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know. I still
Yeah,
worry.
and that kind of fear is in the story as well. We assume that chased a lot of people from doubting it too publicly. Everything that was done was probably quietly, but it didn't help, because this thing had momentum and it was going. I think there's even word now that, the guy was starting to fundraise for, things. That is totally in character with these kinds of things, that they start out as, oh, look at this. I got a lot of attention. I have a lot of goodwill towards this fictional character I created. I better do something with it. Like maybe, I don't know, make money or, take advantage of it.
There's just a huge difference between writing an article like this, okay, and writing an article about how you hate Fozzie Sov or Phoebe jump drive changes, or, I want to say the normal things that get written about related to EVE Online. When you start dealing with stuff like this, it goes into an entirely different category. And that's why I am glad that you guys wanted to take such, efforts in making sure that you could try and do everything you could to ensure that look, it's not a hit job.
It's an unhit job.
It's an unhit job. Yeah. To try and stick with the facts, and
Believe me, it could have gotten a lot
we use
worse.
the word community a lot in it. People have to like that, right?
Yeah. We're back. But I also want to thank everybody else that worked on it. I know River probably did earlier in the show, but there was Arendis, there was our editor Finn. Matani was very attentive to what we needed. He cleared everything out of the way so that we could just get this done. Everybody was understanding. Everybody understood this was an important thing to do. And that it would be a big story. We're glad that it's getting the reception it is, and even the writing was a collaborative process. This is really, I know my name's on it, but really it was everybody. And the last thing, Rivra has been a superstar during this TMC transition to Imperium.news. We're happy to have her as an editor, and she's come through in so many ways. She's hitting some of the biggest stories out there. And not only that, but helping us behind the scenes with a lot of organizational work. And she's a tireless workhorse, but we need to give her a break because she's gonna burn out because she doesn't stop.
Yeah. So you're saying I can take the next week off now?
Yeah, you definitely can.
Take two.
Take a couple. Yeah, this is a lot of work that you put into this, and thanks for all that you did and stuff like that. It was actually kind of fun working with a group. I always liked that. Tiberius helped me a lot with the Brave story that was done for EN24 that was big. So I like working with people and in groups and stuff. It's a lot funner than lonely research on your own. But okay. So
funner.
Yeah, let's
funner.
wrap.
Is that what makes you the quality editor you are?
Delegation. No, I spend way too much time on this game. Speaking of time, we're out of time. We're going to have to wrap it up there. And I want to just make sure that people know this is our new time. We will be coming back to this time. There's a Patreon in support of the podcast version of this show that helps pay for some of the bad decisions I made with hosting, which cost me a ton of money. So I'm trying to make up for some of that. And our Discord is out there, and I should probably put that in the chat channel. Please join our Discord and hang out with us. You can talk with us all the time and be connected with news and everything all the time inside of Talking in Station's Discord. Okay, thanks guys for showing up. What's that, Dirk?
Just in case there isn't a show in the next week or two. Also want to give a quick shout out on the fact that on November 5th is the Melbourne PAX meetup at the Bolt Builders Yard at South Wharf, Victoria, Australia, and Event London in Goodman Fields in London on the 5th of November as well.
Awesome. All right, guys. Sorry, something got stuck in my throat. We will see you next week. Hopefully, we can find some way to produce a show from Vegas. If not, you guys will be watching it like we will. And then after that, we'll go and cover what happened there. All right. Thanks. And that's it for Talking in Stations. We'll see you next week. I have this fancy software. It's supposed to do something. Next week.
Push the button.
I think it's definitely going to be a possibility that we can do a weird form of talking in stations or talking in Vegas show.
Well, the problem is that, okay, so this show right now would be what, Saturday morning? I mean, if we were to do it in the same time slot, it would be Saturday morning, so the night after the pub crawl and all of that.
Well, maybe we could
At 6 a.m.
just live from like a massive time slot, right? And then people can just drop in from wherever while they're at Vegas.